so we put this sheet here up. We still got to get this one filled in. And this is the length of the room right here. That's 12 feet across right there. And I did all of this measurements to be symmetrical to the lengths of the wood. So I didn't want like a 13-foot room, because now when you're forming, you got that odd length. So you need to break it up into like 4 foots. What your sheet lengths are, 8 foot by 4 feet. And maybe you might split and have some 2-foot sheets like this old sheets we have here. These are 2-footers. And you need to work in increments like that, but you don't want to catch where you're like 12 foot 3 inches, 13 foot, odd things like that. You're just butchering up plywood in a massive ways. Additional seams that are hard to get even and all. And you want to really try to think out that when you're drawing out your plans of keeping those rooms symmetrical if you're going to cast form to what the lengths are of the product you're going to be buying. So this room is 12 feet across, and it's also 12 feet the other way. So in the area of where the bed and all is 12 by 12. And then you'll have your CR and all on the back here. And we're going to cast the main rooms first, and then we're going to cast those rooms last, because we don't want to get back there in a situation where we're having to cut up our plywood and waste it. So we're on the back side of this other room here right now, right here, and there's going to be a bed right here. And what I'm going to do is the concrete floating beds. I'm not going to buy a bunch of furniture for this. I want to give it that modern look of the concrete floating bed. So we've drawn out lines here on the wall where it's going to be, the height of it, right where it's going to be forward. And what we're going to do is drill into this plywood, and we're going to be in 90s and stick out dowels that are tied to this right here where it's doubled up, and stick out dowels out the wall. Then it'll just leave a hole like this, and when we slip off our plywood, we only have just some small extra holes. But here's the thing, these rooms duplicate each other. They're the same, they mirror each other. Not really mirror, because that would be opposite, but they duplicate. This room, and that room are exactly the same in every way pretty much. So when we cast this and we strip these forms, we should be able to virtually move these pieces right over here and them work exactly the same. We just pull them, and as we pull them, we place it. We don't just rip it all and make it disorganized. Whatever we pull, we'll bring those right on over here and put them right back up exactly the same as they just came down. So instead of having just the big old stripping forms over all at one time and throwing everything down, we'll pull the bottom sheets and the lumber, wipe it down, bring it exactly right over here right then, and put it right back up. And that way we can just keep ad hocing it along. And right now we had these 2-footers, and we've used this doing a lot of forming already. As you see, it's nice and clean on this side. And we're about to put what we call a stopper. So this is a piece of 4-inch, the thickness of our wall, with some cocoa lumber on it. And it's going to represent where the patio door opening is going to be for this next room. And we're going to stop the concrete right there to the top of that door opening. So we're going to go ahead and put this on first onto the wall right there where that steel ends. Get it nice and level. He just did a watermark with a water level, from the top of that door opening right there where that buck is. He made the same mark here. So now we're going to cut this off. It's probably too long. We're going to cut it off right to that length. He'll make him a marker on it. He's going to transcribe right now. And there he goes. So now he'll cut that off nice and straight. He'll put a square on it to make sure it's straight. And we'll go ahead and put that up, make sure it's nice and plumb. And then when we cast this, we'll cast and fill right up to that, so then I can come back and cast over the top of the door. You'll see as we go along, but you just got to be organized. It can't be chaotic and mayhem. If you're organized in your thoughts about this, the dimensions of your room, how you can reuse your materials, it'll be very smart. Now, you may not have repeating rooms, and you may have a house that's got a bedroom next to a bedroom in a main house, and you'll use that. And what's nice is like we're going to be pouring this like a T right here, because you got a corner in that room, a corner in this room, so the wall tees. So that's going to be one megalithic pour right there, very strong, because now you got two 90s going right there, and you got a solid cast wall. That this whole wall is load bearing. Everything in here is load bearing, and everything works like a beam. It didn't need to be a beam when it's cast like this, because virtually the whole wall is like a gigantic beam, going from this span right here all the way back to this span back here. All right, so we made this piece. We measured exactly for our bolt holes, perfect, 6 inches on the first one, a foot, and 6 inches the last. We measured over from the 4-inch thickness of the wall to where they are, so it'll line all up perfect. Oh, you got one, no tube right here. You need to tap this one in right here, and we need a tube. More. Okay. We measured all of this. It's where our door will be. It's all nice and plumb. It's at the right height. So when we move that door buck over to right there, we'll pull that out, put this buck in for the next wall when it comes around, and it'll be perfect. We have to just butt it up against the fresh poured concrete and ready to go. We got one thing we need to do. Wait. We need to put a diagonal piece of steel and tie it before you, yeah, for that. So let's just stop a second and tie this steel over here. And let's go. We want our diagonal piece across up here on this corner, and that's going to be a door opening right there. You can see the mark for it right there. So we want our diagonal piece coming across. Anywhere you got a corner like that, you need to put some diagonal steel in. Just go ahead and tie those up right there. So we're going to go ahead and jump ahead and start tying our steel, so we can go ahead and tie our steel over our door opening and get our diagonal pieces tied in. So they're actually showing up over here with the precast right now. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that is really cool. They're over here going to install that today. So we just made these 90s he's got right down here. We made those 16 inches. I was just guessing that's good. That gave us 10 up, and then a couple inches on that side before it goes to the wall. That'll leave us basically about 4.5 inches sticking out on the other side over there. So we don't want too much sticking out. It's gonna be hard to pull the plywood if you got some real long pieces and they're not straight. So the shorter they are, the easier it's gonna be to pull the plywood. So he's gonna go across here and put those. I drilled the holes earlier right in the middle of where it's gonna be like a 4-inch slab sticking out for the bed. And those are right at the 2-inch mark. What's your head up there above, Mark?
Kedua, asal dalam. Diray. Ano na? Pa dalom aja mo. Ito ka pa dalom. Mas like pa ano, pa bay. Ay, paano kaya pasada kamay, amor? Op, sige. paano? Padalo magamay. Okay, hop. Ge, ge, ge. Ge, wala kayo dito. Ge, bunso. Nice na ko ta, work. Dapat. Ge. Yeah, layo pa. Yeah. Up. Yeah. Babaw. Up.
This lumber's trying to pull a curve in it. We're gonna have to pull that curve out.
Yeah.
We'll get it though. Anyway, I got this here. We all just worked putting up braces, leveling this, getting bracing in here. We got some wire tied right here, pull a little bow that was in the wall. You know, we get this cocoa lumber, it's not all that straight. Sometimes you got to manipulate it around. So got a little bit of bracing here on the back side, bracing in there, and it is all nice and plumb right now. Yep, just getting acclimated, and then we'll just run with it after this. After this, all these pieces can get used perfect like they are right over to the next wall. The twins been over here putting on those crowns up on top right there on those. Man, doesn't that look nice? Check that out. I see the twins. I ain't talking about our nieces. I'm talking about my neighbor here that does this. Him and his brother are twins. Yesterday was their birthday. Yeah, yesterday was their B-day. Let's go down there and check that out. So I'll be doing all these and make sure that they're all level. He's did the same thing. He's pulled a line going across here so he'll know right where to put them. And now I have to put these on in 2 halves. So we'll walk over here where they've been doing this work so far. Looks nice. Really excited with all these projects coming along around here. Yes, yes, yes. Now, when we did this all in the past, all I remember in my comment section before was everybody like, "Where's your vibrator? You gotta have a vibrator. Vibrator, 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 vibrator." That's all I heard, vibrator. Think there's some hidden issues there. All right, buddy, if that's what you need. we're not pouring so much in depth in a wall at a time that we're having to work out a whole bunch of air. You know, we don't have a truck just pumping it in really fast or any ready mix. So when we're pouring it a pail at a time like this, and we can just work it down with a simple stick. We'll just use a piece of this rebar actually, or anything will fit down in there, pretty much a piece of rebar. And then I think he's got a long bamboo there. Oh yeah, he's got a piece of Gemelina there. And then just tapping it, like we just use a chunk of wood laying here. Rubber hammer will work, but man, we got this chunk of wood works. Just tap it, bump, bump, bump. The vibration on the forms settles it, because it's not trying to settle it up 3 or 4 feet at one time. You know, we're mixing it slowly coming up, and we don't have this big separation of aggregates and all of our aggregates settling to the bottom, overwork it with a vibrator. None of that, because we're always keeping a wet layer on top, and we're always just mixing and adding, mixing and adding. I'm telling you, it works, because if you doing it too fast, then you run into a lot of problems. But man, this is just nice and steady and hardly with any issues at all. First thing he's gonna do is wet down in the bottom, so he's pouring water in.
Isa pa, tol. Tubig pa. Tubig. Kita mo na bubuo sa wara. Kita mo na. Oh, dapat kami buka. Ay, ito. Pagkatong ni.
Here we go. First one's up. They don't have to pour a whole lot today. We're just gonna get this bottom part started. It's looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. We'll just keep on keeping on. So getting this first bit poured right here, this is gonna lock it in now. We have made sure that it's very plumb, very level, very straight on our baselines and everything. And now we have something solid to work off of with all the rest of the pour up here. You want your very first part to be as perfect as you can, and then you got something great to work with from there on. So it's looking good. I'm happy for it. It's a little slower than I planned, but we're dealing with weather and all, so and kind of getting acclimated back to it. But we're gonna just keep rocking on. I definitely need to go buy more nuts and washers, and we'll continue with that. Find out how many bolts they have left. Very happy to get this underway and be up here casting these rooms now. Boy, that sun's glowing right on my face. Evening time sun. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I'm gonna go take me a shower. I've been working on my boat project down there, and I laid up 3 layers of gel coat on it, which I do those separate videos. but I laid it up 3 layers of gel coat on the bottom, coming up around the side. That's everything. It's below water line.